What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to our Deadpool and Wolverine spoiler review with a special guest that has seen the movie like 5 times already. I hate you.
I have seen it 3 times, I'm going my 4th time tonight.
How dare you? Couldn't get enough of Deadpool dancing at the beginning, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah, what an opening.
Yeah. So this is going to be a spoiler-filled review for Deadpool and Wolverine. I have a spoiler-free review that I filmed it in San Diego up on the channel now. So if you have not seen the movie and you don't want to be spoiled, you have been warned if you continue watching this. So let's just get right into Deadpool and Wolverine. The opening is one of my favorite openings to a Marvel movie ever.
Oh yeah, yeah, I mean, that was super fun. I loved the choice of "Bye, Bye, Bye," which is the reference to X2,
Yep,
which is
yep. I was going to
amazing.
bring that up because I wasn't sure if you remembered that.
Oh yeah, Pyro's in that scene, of course I
Well, no
remember
wonder why you're seeing this movie so many goddamn times because it's got your boy Pyro.
I loved Pyro as a kid. I have his, lighter somewhere
Oh, do
around,
you?
the shark lighter.
Oh, nice, man. Make a move.
Yeah, dude, X3, a little less so.
Yeah. But yeah, no, like I also love in that scene too, where it's like he's kind of like smacks the guys with like Wolverine's corpse, like to the beat too. Sometimes that's a great opening. Like
I
I go ahead.
I just like that, the first thing everyone thought when Hugh Jackman was announced to come back was like, "Why are you ruining Logan?"
Oh, I know that
Like
was the whole uproar on the internet.
yeah, so I love that they just kind of took that and just ran with it, and were like, "Yeah, we're gonna literally desecrate the end of that movie," but not actually, like, Lo I don't think this movie hinders the emotional impact of Logan. I think
No, I don't. I
it
don't either.
handled it well.
I don't either. Yeah, no, I think it did well because it would have been one thing if they were if they were bringing that Wolverine back, like the Wolverine from the timeline after Days of Future Past between Logan. That would have been one thing, but like the moment I saw him desecrating like Wolverine's corpse, I was like, okay, this is funny and this is poking fun at that idea that that they were gonna ruin and piss on Logan's legacy, which it doesn't. But what were some of your favorite parts of the movie?
Oh, geez. Well, I loved the opening. I loved, I mean, the whole middle section of the movie with all the other characters showing up.
Once
I
you get to
thought,
like the void,
yeah, when you're in the void, and but it's particularly, I thought when like the group of like Elektra, Blade, Gambit,
yeah,
like
yeah,
23, like I thought when people like even would bring up like, oh, maybe we'll see Channing Tatum's Gambit in this movie. Like, I pictured any of those appearances would essentially just be like real quick, funny
and
cameos.
they're not. They're kind of like Toby and Andrew in No Way Home.
Yeah, like
Not
they're
to the extent of that, but
no, but they're actual characters. Like they actually have them in the movie for like a decent amount of time, and like
yeah,
they're funny. Like the just all the meta humor of like the Daredevil joke with Elektra, which is like about Ben
it's
Affleck.
fine.
Yeah, the Blade and Ryan Reynolds of it all, which is why when Blade came out, I couldn't believe what I was seeing because literally it's been known for like 20 years that the 2 of them didn't exactly have the best relationship.
Which is okay. So like I'm happy. I have a little bit of a bone to pick. Like I'm happy that it was Wesley Snipes. Like I'm glad we got to see Wesley Snipes again. And he looked great. He said the iconic line again. He also said another line where it's like there will only ever be one bleed, which was funny. But there's a part of me that wishes that was Mahershala, just
No.
just to give him. He's gotten screwed over on Blade so much.
Mahershala Ali's Blade had no business being in this movie. People would have been like, "Why didn't you get Wesley Snipes?" Because this Deadpool movie is like it's bringing back people that, like, are forgotten. Are, like, pre-MCU. Like, I don't think Mahershala Ali's Blade would've made sense in this. I feel like you gotta introduce him in a Blade movie. If you introduce him here, it's like,
So I had heard a different rumor other than Wesley Snipes when before this movie came out. I had heard that it wasn't gonna be Wesley Snipes. I had heard it was gonna be Sticky Fingers.
yeah, no. Like, people are missing the fact that it had to be Wesley because of the Ryan Reynolds of it all. Like,
Yeah.
that's why you could have the joke of, "I don't like you. You never did." Like, that, like, whole thing is like a reference to Blade Trinity. Like, I was expecting Hannibal King, Ryan Reynolds, to walk around the corner after Blade. Like, I was expecting once Blade came out, I'm like, "Is Ryan Reynolds' Hannibal King variant coming out?"
I was actually I was kind of expecting Ben Affleck as Daredevil to come out for just for like a
I
split second. For a split second, I was expecting it. But
Yeah,
there's one I want to talk about in a minute. I don't have much to say about Elektra. The one I
I
want to
like
talk
the
about
Electros.
the one I want to talk about isn't about Gambit. It's about somebody else. But let's talk about Gambit for a minute because Channing Tatum finally sort of got to play Gambit.
He did. I have loved Gambit since I was a kid. He was my favorite X-Man growing up. I loved Gambit, my brother loved Wolverine. Um, and Gambit, I've been pissed for 25 years, got completely gypped by the movies. The He wasn't in any of the proper X-Men movies, despite being one of the most popular X-Men.
Yeah.
He got thrown into Wolverine's origin for no reason, played
Hold
by
on one second.
Taylor Kitsch.
So yeah, played by Taylor Kitsch.
Played by Taylor Kitsch because it was 2009 and Taylor Kitsch, they were trying to make him a thing.
They were trying to make him Sam Worthington. Yeah.
And his Gambit was so disappointing to me because it was so bland. There was nothing fun about it. There was nothing like charming
I
about
don't
it. It
even
was
remember him. Like I
it,
know that he's in the movie. Like I remember him being. I don't remember what he did in the movie though.
he literally just he throws cards once.
Yeah,
He
I was like, did he throw cards? I remember him fighting Wolverine a little bit.
he flies Wolverine on an airplane, and then he tries to help Wolverine when he loses his memory. It was stupid. So I always hated that. I was like, I don't think that was the right choice for. And then there was for years there was the rumor of like a Gambit solo movie starring Channing Tatum, and I was always like, initially I was like, hell no, he's funny in the Jump Street movies, but like he can't be Gambit.
Yeah,
Then I watched Hateful Eight until 2015, and he played like a southern roguish kind of character.
yeah,
And I thought, oh, maybe I can see Gambit in there. Like, yeah, I could see a little bit of that. But then that movie obviously got canceled when Disney merged with Fox.
yep.
And to see him actually get to play Gambit looking like classic 90s Gambit, like, it was amazing. Like, I don't think he would ever be my first choice to play Gambit, but I
No,
liked how they did it where they let the ridiculousness of Channing Tatum as Gambit kind of be the joke of like his accent was
yeah.
played up for
Dude,
laughs. Like it
what
was,
are you saying? Do you need a do you need
who's
a
your dialect coach? The
yeah, that was
Minions?
yeah.
Like that was like it was fun, and it was getting to see him use his powers in an R-rated setting, where R-rated
Yeah.
setting where he's just blowing people up. It's amazing, and like yeah, Channing, like, he wasn't, like, fantastic, but I thought he was serviceable, and I thought they played up the stupid aspects as a joke, so, like, I don't even know if he might have even been better than an actual Gambit movie where they're playing it seriously,
Yeah.
where they're not, emphasizing his accent being hard to understand because like, that was the
Yeah.
joke, but,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I loved all the jokes of with him of, like, "Oh, the people maybe I could have saved," or, like, "I think I might have been born here." Like, he
Yeah,
never
it was just
had a movie. So I loved all that. I thought, having all those characters was just so fun, and, like, seeing Blade again, I literally my brain couldn't process it. When he was on screen, I was like
he's the second one to pop out, right? Because it's Elektra
yeah,
first and then
yeah,
Blade and
starts
then
with
Gambit.
Elektra. When I saw Elektra, I was like, "What the hell's happening?" And then Blade showed up, and I was like, "Holy shit." Like, I
Yeah.
was screaming in the theater opening night.
Yeah.
But
Dude,
then Gambit
I'll say this in that part, and then another part that I'm gonna talk about in a minute. So the first time I saw it was in San Diego. Standard screening, like no Dolby, no IMAX. Everybody was going nuts because we were all comic book nerds. When I saw it yesterday,
yeah.
nobody was hooting and hollering. I'm like, you 12-year-olds gotta learn to watch other comic book movies.
I don't blame them for not watching the Elektra.
Well, I mean, nobody cheered for her, but everybody cheered for Blade, everybody
Of
cheered
course.
for Gambit, and then everybody cheered for the other one. Which did you know that this was gonna? Did you suspect that this was gonna happen? That Chris Evans was playing Human Torch
Oh,
when he first
no.
popped up.
Well, when he first popped up I fell for it. I thought it was Cap, like a Cap variant.
Yeah, yeah, because they trick you. They give him like the Cap look, like he's got a little bit of the scruff from like Infinity
Yeah.
War, a little bit of the
Yeah, he's
longer hair.
got they also had, like he had red around his wrist too.
Yeah, yeah,
His
you don't see
purse.
his Fantastic Four suit because 'cause he's got the
Yeah,
cape on. He's, like,
yeah.
kinda talking like Captain America.
Yeah, yeah, so
Yeah. "He's
good. Just
gonna
that
say it! He's gonna say it! Avengers, flame on!"
yeah, that got a big reaction at
Yeah,
every time I've seen it.
yeah,
Because yeah, it is. It's because it's like it's one level of cool if it is Cap, and that's exciting. But
yeah.
then to have like the subversion where like, oh no, it's Johnny Storm,
Yeah,
which
which
is which watching Johnny Storm fight Pyro. Listen, this confirmed what I've been saying since I was a kid. Pyro would beat Human Torch in a fight
not
because
according to the internet.
yes, well, they're stupid. Because think about it logically. Think about this logically, which is what happens in the movie. Johnny Storm requires fire to fly. If he's fighting in the air, Pyro takes away his fire with a thought. Pyro can take away fire with a thought. Without fire, Johnny Storm fucking falls. That's what happens, and that's what should happen. I've said that since I was like 10 years old. If Johnny Storm's flying, Pyro wins
Yeah,
because he'll die. He'll fall.
yeah, which is what
So
happens.
I felt validated. People on the internet are stupid because they think, oh, he can go supernova. That doesn't matter if he can't if he's falling from the sky and he can't make fire.
See, I think this is gonna be more like we're gonna obviously talk about spoilers, but I think it's just gonna be us nerding out this whole video.
Oh, I mean, of course. The spoilers of this movie are these appearances, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And then I mean, obviously, like I think one of my favorite parts too is him going through like all the different timelines to get the correct variant of Wolverine,
Yes.
is proof that they which is proof that they don't piss on Logan's legacy. Like that was fun. Like the first Wolverine that he finds is like the short Hugh Jackman. Like
I was geeking out because there not only was there like the comic accurate height, which
yeah.
is shorter than he actually is in the comics, but it was funny.
Yeah.
But like the other Wolverines, I was like, because you had like, I'm pretty sure that was Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, the one-handed one in the alley.
Yeah.
It was either Age of Apocalypse or like one of the other alternate futures from the comics. And
Mhm.
then you got like, there's like him crucified on the X is from a famous cover in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then you had the burgundy outfit Wolverine, which Tim's gonna freak out when he sees
Is
it.
that the one when he's fighting Hulk?
When he's fighting Hulk. That's from the shot of Hulk's reflection in his claws is from a famous cover. Like
Yeah.
it was all these fun little
The
references.
eye patch one?
Yeah, Patch was in this, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Like all these Wolverine references, and it was just fun to like. And then
I
of course you get the Cap
Yeah,
reference.
I think the best one is when he goes into the timeline. He's like, "Oh, maybe this one could be good. You look a little like holy, it's Halloween." Which he's like, "We did a better job than the folks down the street."
Yeah, I mean, I like that just because. I mean, that was like kind of like John Krasinski as Reed Richards.
Yeah,
It was like the internet is always like Henry Cavill should be the next Wolverine. I disagree personally, but
yeah,
obviously he could pull it off if you look at him in this scene. But
yeah.
I don't want him to be. But it was a fun joke.
It
I don't
was.
want him to be the MCU Wolverine. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it was that was honestly like some of my the most fun I had in those parts. So we finally get to the actual Wolverine, not the Wolverine that we know, but a Wolverine from a different timeline. And I like the backstory that they gave him, where it's like, oh, like he killed all the X, or he was out like drinking, getting drunk at a bar, and all the X-Men like got killed because like there was a mutant hunt. The humans came to hunt the mutants, and by the time he got back, he couldn't do anything. You know, I like that aspect of Wolverine. And I don't really understand why people think that this movie doesn't have like the heart or the emotion because there's a lot of heart to heart in here. You have the stuff with Deadpool and the like him dealing with his relationship with Vanessa. You have the whole X-23 scene where she's talking to Wolverine at the campfire. I'm like, you people really don't know what emotion is in
I
movies.
mean, I thought the best heartfelt moments were like Wolverine in the car screaming at
Oh
Deadpool.
yeah. Yeah, that was
Like,
good.
'cause
Yeah.
to have Deadpool be silenced by someone for, like, a moment where he literally doesn't know what to say, "So I'm just gonna fight you."
Yeah.
Like, because he's just like, that was a big moment for me.
I think that was Hugh Jackman's best scene in the entire movie too.
Oh, it was so good, and then the end part where they're both, holding each other and they're having those, like the music's playing and you got the memories coming back, like, it was, like,
Yeah,
really cool, like, and
yeah,
emotional,
yeah,
got chills, but, yeah, like, I'm this movie has a lot of heart for sure, like, I think the way they handled Wolverine in particular was really good. I
yeah.
did think that his his reasoning well, the reasoning for him being, like, the worst Wolverine, like, I think they could have gone more extreme with it, like, I think it was l I was expecting when they talked about that, like, maybe he went rabid and, like, he killed the X-Men or something,
That's what
like,
I was thinking too.
but, like, when the fact that he was just kinda out on a bender and they all got killed, and then he started killing, like, everyone, like, it's a good enough reason, but I was expecting something even, like, crazier,
Yeah.
because, like, it was less effective to me than the reveal in Logan that Professor X killed the X-Men.
Okay.
Like, there's
Gotcha.
that one, I was like, "Holy shit." Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's traumatizing. Where this one, I was kinda like, "Oh, so, like, yeah, the government came while he wasn't there and killed the
Yeah.
X-Men."
Which I would assume, which in my head canon, I would assume is like Stryker's people, but
Probably, yeah, like,
yeah,
but
or
I
like
don't
the
know, I
SS.
thought you could have gone even harder with it, I think. Like, really
Yeah,
make Wolverine responsible, you know?
yeah, yeah. What did you think of the whole anchor point thing?
Oh, the anchor being?
Yeah,
I mean, I thought it was fine for this movie, I don't want it to be a thing.
yeah. That's what I'm kind of seeing too. I've seen a lot of people be like, "That's stupid," you know.
Well,
Um,
like, as the joke of this movie where, like, oh, like, the anchor being is, like, Deadpool and Wolverine were the 2 most popular characters in the Fox universe, like,
yeah.
that's why Wolverine's the anchor being. It's like, that's fine, but
I
I
feel like
I
if they keep it going forward, I feel like it just raises questions as to the whole MCU at this point.
and it's, like, unnecessary 'cause it's too much of, like, a chosen one kinda
Yeah,
thing, where, like, I don't people are like, "Oh, Peter Parker's the anchor being of the MCU," and I'm like, "Hold up. They're not gonna make the anchor being a guy who they don't even have the full film rights to.
exactly.
They're not gonna make Peter the anchor being, and then Sony decides you can't use Spider-Man anymore, and then he's like, "What do you do then?"
Like, I mean, if that's the case, like, I would feel like Iron Man would be the anchor being, you know?
Of course, that's what I mean, that's what I would assume, but,
Yeah,
the whole concept, I think it works for this movie. I also don't think it jives with what they were talking about in Doctor Strange 2 with the incursions,
yeah,
because they're like, "Oh, well, we'll take this Wolverine and we'll bring him to this universe, and he'll be the new anchor being." And I'm like, "Didn't Doctor Strange 2 say if you stay in a different universe for too long, that universe, like, gets destroyed?" Like, wasn't that a thing?
I
Like, it
think
was
so,
like
yeah.
if because of, like, Doctor Strange dream walking into other universes, those universes collided and, like, got destroyed, and I'm like,
Yeah, I think it's proof for a lot of people that this, like, whole multiverse saga is a bit of a mess.
I mean, they gotta kinda figure out their rules,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I feel like I've paid a lot of attention during Loki and Multiverse of Madness and No
Yeah.
Way Home and even this, and
You
they
still can't
just
figure it out.
no, it's still kind of like, well, okay, you introduced this anchor being concept, but how does that jive with the incursions? Like,
Yeah.
maybe they'll sort it all out, like, in the Doomsday Secret Wars thing, but I don't know, like,
Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom is the anchor being.
I don't know, I didn't mind it in this movie, but I don't want it to be like, I'm already tired of the tweets of, like, "Who's the anchor being in the Six Ones?" I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, who cares?
Who
Yeah, I guess
cares?"
I don't know, I wasn't thinking so much about that, but I guess I was a little confused at the beginning because Deadpool is in Earth 616 talking to Happy Hogan about the Avengers, and then immediately he's in Earth 10005, and I'm like, "How did he get there?" I think I caught up on it yesterday where there was an explanation that he was using Cable's time travel device,
Yes.
but
Yep.
even then, I still think it's a little jarring how you immediately go from one universe to the next universe, and it makes it look like it's the same universe.
Sure, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that was a little weird, but those types of things, like, in a Deadpool movie, I'm like, "Whatever." Like,
Yeah,
he can do whatever he
that's kinda
wants.
how I was looking at it because, like, even Dwayne, when we first saw it, he's like, "So wait, I'm confused, like, what universe is he in?" You
Well,
know?
the way I looked at it was if you watch Deadpool 2, he uses Cable's machine and he
You go,
goes and he kills Ryan Reynolds, he kills the Deadpool from X-Men Origins, you know.
yeah,
He's already universe hop.
yeah,
So like it's just kind of an extension of that, where like he
yeah.
uses Cable's machine to like bounce around the universe. Like that's
Okay,
fine. Yeah.
okay. I get it, and then and something that kind of bothered me too is it was like you would have like some of these scenes where it's like characters would be talking like he'd be like the first scene with Nice Pool and Dog Pool like where they're getting in the car it's like licking like Dog Pool's like licking his face and then all of a sudden it'll just cut to it's a damn cold night. I'm like, how did we get here? Like, you know.
No. They get in the car, they
No,
say bye to
I
Nice
know.
Pool.
Yeah, I know. Oh dude, Nice Pool is awesome.
I loved his death. That was really
Yeah.
funny.
You just murdered that guy. No, I didn't murder him. Am I still alive?
Just how fast do you regenerate? Regenerate?
Okay, they regenerate.
No, that
I
was
feel
good.
yeah. What for you? What were the thoughts of seeing Hugh Jackman back again, like in action, full costume? Like he gets the mask at the end.
Oh, it
Like
was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing to see him finally get to really be Wolverine.
yeah,
Because like he was great in the other movies, but Wolverine to me in the movies has never quite been the Wolverine from the comics.
hmm
He's always he's had his moments of like, oh, flashes of like, there's like Logan from the comics, but so many times in the movies, Wolverine is portrayed as like a hero or like a
yeah,
leader or
yeah,
like a nice guy, and I'm like he hasn't ever been pissed off enough,
yeah.
which like he
Or
has
this
his
one, he's a dick.
moments. This one, he's a dick. He's pissed off all the time, but he's still a hero deep down, and like that's
Yeah,
what I want. I don't want X Men: The Last Stand where
he's giving
Logan is
battle
like,
speeches.
"We're X Men," like all of us, and I'm like, "Shut up!" Like that's just stupid. If anything, Wolverine should be like, I'm gonna go fight them. You can all come, whatever. I don't give a shit. You'll die maybe, but I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
Like that's Wolverine.
yeah. What were your thoughts on Cassandra Nova?
She was good. I liked Cassandra. She's very different than in the comics.
Yeah,
She's a
I
lot
think
younger looking.
I think the problem I have with not just the MCU, but it seems like big blockbuster movies within the last 5 to 10 years or so, it just seems like they're giving villains like enough development even if they're not in the movie all that much, but they're not in the movie all that much. And I wish that they were I mean, she's in it for probably the whole second half, but I
Yeah.
wish that she had a few more like maybe one or two more scenes in the first half. I just feel like it's not the MCU's fault. I mean, it's part of the problem in the equation, but I just feel like all blockbusters are kind of doing that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it doesn't matter that much because it kind of falls under like Ronan the Accuser for me from Guardians,
Yeah.
where it's like it's not about them. Like
No.
it's like yeah, they're there to cause a problem, but like the focus of the movie's on the group of heroes.
Yeah.
So it doesn't bother me that when it's not about them, I don't really care that much.
Yeah, when she's
Like
like when she's putting her fingers through like everybody's like skin, I'm just like that sucks. That's gotta it's gotta feel
yeah,
weird.
I thought she was great. She was super creepy, super evil. I thought she was funny in some parts with like
Yeah,
what she was saying.
yeah.
But I actually really loved Paradox. I thought Paradox
Really?
was he's hilarious. Like the
Yeah,
performance McFadden or whatever
yeah.
he's giving is so good. Like it's just
It's so
funny.
goofy.
Yeah, and it's just like it's over the top, but it's like the little moments of him like catching himself being like psycho and kind of reining himself in is like
Yeah,
really funny.
yeah,
And I don't think enough people are talking about it. He gives a really funny performance.
yeah. He is pretty good. It kind of begs the question too, like who's the main villain of the movie? Is it him? Is it Cassandra Nova? That's
I
kind of
mean, yeah,
that's kind of an interesting like question that the movie raises.
yeah, it's very world's not enough. Let's talk about the real best villain of the movie, my boy Pyro.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I know why you've seen this movie so many times now.
He's underutilized. I'll say that. I liked him in it, but he's not used enough. I thought, he could have used his powers a little more. I thought that would have
Yeah.
been
I think one of my major problems with this movie is that even though it's like a Deadpool movie, you can still kind of feel the weight of the MCU, like kind of pushing it down on his shoulders. Like when I'm watching it, like I'm like, yeah, I'm watching a Deadpool movie. But the thing that stands out to me about a Deadpool movie is that they feel like their own thing. When I'm watching this one, I'm like, yeah, I can see the weight of like the MCU like around it. Like obviously, like not just because of like the TVA stuff, but I feel like it's just because with the multiverse and stuff, like we've kind of been down this road before. But I think probably next to Multiverse of Madness and No Way Home, it does it the best. I'm not really counting Quantumania because I didn't like Quantumania all that much. Uh,
Quantumania wasn't really about the
and
multiverse much.
no, it wasn't. But like steel stuff that deals with it, it still deals with it a little bit because you have Kang from like a different
Sure.
multiverse. But like I think too, it's maybe just because I'm getting sick of the look of all these different multiverses and like the cosmic realm of the MCU. Where I remember when the trailer for Quantum Mania came out, I said one of my complaints, and it will probably be a complaint in the movie, and it was that the visuals of the quantum realm don't differentiate themselves all that much from the multiverses of Doctor Strange or the cosmic elements of the last two Thor movies or Guardians of the Galaxy. That's kind of the case here, but I feel like there was a like the void is at least like gray enough where I'm like, okay, like you have you have like gray areas and then you could be in a forest like 1 minute because I and then or you could be on a cliff or something. So I'm like, at least there's like something cool to differentiate it. But at the
Yeah.
same time, when I'm looking at this movie as like a whole, I think how do I want to word this? I guess like I can definitely see the MCU influence in the movie, even though it's a Deadpool movie. So it feels like a Deadpool movie, but it feels like a Deadpool in the MCU movie, which is by design, and they're like quite poking fun at that. But it was just something that I don't necessarily know if it bothered me or if it was a nitpick, but it did like cross my mind
I mean, I thought personally, I thought they kind of, restrain themselves a bit because
a little bit.
they could have gone ham with the MCU if it all. They could have had like the Avengers. They could have had like, but like
Yeah,
we get like Hulk's back. You get like Captain America on a screen. You get like Thor crying.
yeah. He was there. I was there. He was holding me.
Like that was a funny running gag. But like overall, like I mean, this movie doesn't have much bearing on the MCU as a
Yeah, that's
whole.
true.
Like it's very like separate. And I was expecting this movie to be Deadpool's in the MCU,
Yeah,
which is not what happens. He doesn't even go to the MCU at the end. He saves his own separate universe,
yeah, that's
which is
true.
they're gonna probably set that's probably setting him and Hugh to show up in Secret Wars when the multiverses collide and shit. But like, I mean, I it actually had less MCU than I expected because even in the Void, it was mostly like Fox characters.
Yeah,
Like
and
it was
yeah,
like Juggernaut, not Vinnie Jones Juggernaut,
yeah.
Tyler Mane Sabretooth, like
Yeah, Lady Deathstrike was not.
yeah, like you had all those people that weren't there. Like I don't even think that was Ray Parker's Toad.
It
I couldn't
wasn't.
tell.
It
Yeah.
wasn't. Yeah,
But yeah, I felt like they did a good job of like they could have easily, I thought, turned this into like Deadpool traveling around the MCU, you
yeah,
know, but it was very much like a like the void was just kind of I mean, you have the 20th Century Fox logo there. Like
yeah,
it felt like the void was like in a meta way, here's superhero movies before the MCU. This
yeah,
is where they went. All
yeah,
the forgotten
yeah.
like dude, Pyro hasn't been to a movie in 20 years.
Which is
Wes
insane.
Wesley Snipes' Blade hasn't been in a movie in 20 years. Like
Which is
these are
insane.
the forgotten characters.
Yeah, which is something I don't think gets enough credit. I think people are kind of looking at it like, oh, it's poking fun at like the old superhero movies, or it's like, no, it's actually celebrating the old superhero movies.
Yeah, it's doing both. I mean, it's
Yeah,
what Deadpool's good at. Deadpool, you can poke fun at things, but also like they Blade and Elektra, they were treated with respect. They weren't just jokes. Like
exactly. Because
they, I
which could have
watched
been easy.
Blade eviscerate
Which
Toad.
which could have been easy because you have I mean, out of the Blade trilogy, you have one really bad Blade movie, and then the Elektra movie is really bad. But it's
Yep.
like they actually did like those movies justice, you know? Maybe
Yeah,
not. I
and
mean, maybe not the movies themselves, but like the characters.
Yeah, and Gambit could have been absolutely just a joke.
Yeah.
Like, you could have just had a one-off, "Oh, Channing Tatum's Gambit." Like, you could have but, like, they didn't. Gambit had badass moments, like, he was treated
Which is
with
the
respect.
which is the thing, which is what I'm glad that this movie did, which is what I think even, what do you call it? Multiverse of Madness does, which I don't think gets enough credit in Multiverse of Madness. Like those cameos definitely in Multiverse of Madness, like the Illuminati, like they definitely feel more like cameos than actual
Yeah, yeah.
supporting, but they're still
Oh, for
supporting
sure, for sure.
roles in that
Yeah.
movie.
Mhm.
Where it's like I think everybody is just caught up on the fact where it's like, oh, this is just cameos. Where it's like, it's not. Yeah, sure, they're cameos, but they're like extended cameos. They're
I
also
mean,
supporting characters in the plot.
the Illuminati for sure, like, they're cameos, but yeah, absolutely, they had a narrative purpose as far as Stephen
Exactly, because
Strange.
like you wouldn't have gone back to Ant Man's skull where Cassandra Nova's hideout was without X-23 because she was the one who was like, okay, like Magneto's helmet got destroyed. The only way we can take her down is if we use Juggernaut's helmet. Like, there's no way they would have found that out if it weren't for
And even
X-23.
just, like even just having the numbers to fight Cassandra's people,
Yeah,
like, it was fun to have and the only cameos I would call cameos in this movie,
Chris
Henry
Evans.
Cavill, Wolverine,
Yeah,
and then Chris Evans, you yeah, he was more of a cameo than an actual role, but, like, the others are minor characters, supporting characters in the
yeah,
movie. Like, it's
yeah.
they're in the movie more than X-Force is in Deadpool 2.
Exactly. Yeah,
Do we call them cameos? Do we call you know?
exactly. Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I,
But yeah, I think people it's easy to just go, "Oh, this is just nostalgia-based cameos," but it's like, first or fan service. First of all, I'm a fan, I like to be serviced.
yeah,
Second,
that's what I always say too. I really don't care at
like
this.
like it's the multiverse saga. Here's what's gonna be annoying. Secret Wars by design, in both versions of the comic Secret Wars, is a multiverse collision of characters, like all coming together, different versions of characters. That's what it is. It's a big multiversal thing. It's gonna already be criticized by some people as, oh, this is just a cameo fest. It's like, no, that's what the multiverse saga is.
Yeah,
You're able to do these, which is why I don't have a big problem with Robert Downey Jr. because a Tony Stark evil variant makes sense as the villain
oh
in the
wait, they
multiverse
announced him as
saga.
Victor Von Doom.
Sure, but
I know,
it's a
I know,
multiverse saga. It's 100% gonna be a Tony variant,
I
even if
know,
he's
exactly.
small then.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's
That's so
just
that. Yeah, yeah, and I was gonna go off that, but then I lost my train of thought.
I just think people are I mean, people are go for the easy, like, criticisms, but
Well,
it's
that's my
like,
thing. I think people with this one just saw the concept, saw it was like, oh, they're bringing Wolverine back. Like, oh my god, that's like a disservice to like his legacy. Oh, it's gonna be another multiverse movie.
oh
Like,
yeah,
there's gonna be a
Logan means
cameo
nothing
fest.
now.
Oh, the trail. I didn't like the trailer because Hugh Jackman's back. Like, I already hate this movie. And then they go in and I'm like, yeah, I hated it because such and I'm like, you already hated it before you
Well,
even gave it a
I think
chance.
the reason that, like, when people say, like, "Oh, well, this movie makes it so Logan's pointless now," like, I couldn't disagree more. This isn't that
Exa-
Wolverine, you know?
No, yeah,
And
exactly.
like, if you really wanna people I see people okay, it's a Deadpool movie.
You
I go in and I go, "This is gonna be crazy, it's gonna be ridiculous, some of it's not gonna make
you
sense." That's just what
you
Deadpool
know
is.
what? And going off that too, you at the end of Days of Future Past, you could even make the argument that those when all the X-Men are alive and well, that those aren't the same versions of
Look,
the X-Men.
listen, people trying arguing on Twitter trying to make sense of the X-Men timeline. They're going,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, how can Logan be in the Deadpool universe if that took place in 2029?" The X-Men movies did never
Yeah.
ever gave
Exactly.
continuity
The
any
way
thought,
yeah, the
any
way
thought.
I've always interpreted it is that he reversed the timeline. We got new versions of those characters that lived, and then Days of Future and then in between Days of Future Past and Logan was when all the shit happened.
Continuity stopped mattering after X-Men: The Last Stand.
Yeah.
X-Men Origins Wolverine. Hey, please explain to me how that Victor Creed is the Victor Creed in X-Men 1. Please explain that to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
How did that happen? The movie didn't give a shit to explain that, and then First Class completely contradicts most of X-Men, the previous
And
movies.
then,
It's
dude,
still great.
and like, I know you just watched I hate to bring up Dark Phoenix because I know you
Yeah,
just watched it. It was a bore fest, but it's like,
terrible.
explain to me how Michael Fassbender's Magneto, because that takes place in what, the 90s?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it becomes Ian McKellen in like 10 years.
Sure. Yeah, it doesn't matter, which is like
Yeah.
I'm like the people arguing about the X-Men timeline. I'm like, it literally hasn't mattered in like 20 years. They
Yeah.
don't you are giving it more thought than 20th Century Fox ever did.
Yeah.
And if anyone could just be ridiculous and not make sense, it's a Deadpool movie. Like
Exactly.
I particularly with a Deadpool movie, I don't need logic.
Yeah.
Like I hope it's not logical, and I hope they point out that's not logical.
Which they mostly do. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
and then like I love the little jabs at like the criticism that fans have had where it's like, welcome to the MCU. We're at a low point, by the way. You know,
Yeah, yeah. My
which
favorite is when he finds out he's invited to the MCU, he goes right up to the camera, "Suck it, Fox. I'm going to Disneyland."
that was the best. Yeah. Yeah. That was the best. Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
like, it's allowed to be that way. I'm so tired of going on Twitter and seeing people arguing about the logic of the movie. I'm like, "It's a Deadpool
a
movie."
guy who literally breaks the fourth wall and has a bunch of meta
Yeah,
references.
like, it doesn't need to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. What was your favorite action scene, do you think?
that's tough. I probably the car fight I thought was a lot of
I
fun.
might go with the bus one at the end.
The bus one, yeah, the whole alley, like, fight in the street, like,
Yeah.
that's really good. With the
Yeah.
music too, it was really
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I love the opening with him fighting
Oh
on
yeah,
the
dude.
Wolverine
That's the
helmet.
best. I see. I was a little bit disappointed at first because I thought they were gonna do what they did with like the other two Deadpool's, where it was like
Right, with the
directed
credits.
by one of the guys who killed the dog in John Wick. You know,
Yeah,
so I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I was disappointed that they weren't doing that with the credits. But then my disappointment quickly evaporated when he's like dancing to "Bye Bye Bye," like killing, like hitting the guy in the face or the helmet, like to the beat of the music with like Wolverine's bones.
I
You
think
know?
they probably thought having, like, funny credits would distract from, like, the funniness of the
Yeah.
fight itself.
Yeah.
So, like, I probably would have been a little much if it was like you had to focus on everything, you know?
Yeah.
But
Was there anything else that you thought in the movie that was like you think is probably worth talking about, like, in terms of, like, plot,
well, I
cameos?
mean, I loved how Gambit fought.
Well, I
When
love
he
how
did
it's like he's got, like, the cards and then he's got, like, the pole and all that
yeah,
too.
and they actually had him use the cards, which is
Yeah,
something Origins Wolverine did not really do.
yeah,
And then him, like, fighting those dudes and, like, sneaking the cards onto their person and then blowing them up was, like,
yeah,
so
yeah. I was shocked, legitimately shocked yesterday when I saw, like, 10-year-old kids in the theater. I'm like, "You guys know this is rated R, right?"
oh, yeah, there were kids in my theater every time too, like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I think that's really all I have to say for the spoilers for Deadpool and Wolverine. Overall thoughts on the movie?
Super fun. It's definitely not a perfect movie, you could poke holes in it for days, but it's a Deadpool movie, I don't care about
Yeah,
that.
I liked it more on my second watch. I think it's because I saw it in, like, Dolby and I could actually hear it.
I
So,
mean, I like, the energy seeing it opening night, like, we bought a whole row of seats for my
yeah, that's
friend.
insane.
It was like, Chris was
Yeah,
sitting next to me,
yeah,
and, like, we were just screaming at all the cameos and all the
yeah,
fun, like,
yeah,
I don't know, it was
yeah,
fun.
lots of fun. I'm glad X-23 got a little time in the sunlight, but
Yeah.
why did they spoil that in the final trailer?
Yeah, that was unfortunate, yeah.
Yeah,
And the Deadpool core was fun, they were fun.
yeah, yeah. Oh, like the Deadpool variants?
Yeah, that was cool.
The cowboy played by Matt McConaughey?
Yeah, Blake Lively.
Yeah. Nathan Fillion was the floating head.
Oh, I didn't realize that, that's funny.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, a lot of fun with Deadpool and Wolverine overall. I liked it more on rewatch. Pat, you'll probably like it even more on your by the time you get to your sixth rewatch in theaters.
I mean, yeah, I'm at least gonna see it 5 times, so
There you go. Where can they find you?
you can find me on Twitter at this Pat guy, and on YouTube, my channel's called Agamotto.
All right, you can find me at my official website, alexmaddenmovies.mystrikinglead.com. That'll be in the link. There will be a link in the description below, I should say. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. I'll have my full recap of San Diego Comic Con coming very soon if it's not up by now. We'll talk to you soon. See you later.